Okay, so we have Bagel here, and this is Duke, and Snoopy is over there because his guardian uses a halty as well as a martingale collar, and he really doesn't like it. So I'm going to talk in this video about how you can get your dogs to listen to you on a walk. It's okay, you don't have the dogs in it for now. So basically, I'm going to talk about things you can do before, during, and well, I guess before and during the walk. So, and things not to do. One of the first things I'm going to suggest you don't do is, I would have filmed it before and after, but the guardian has the dogs go to the garage and puts the collars and leashes on there, and it wouldn't have been the best footage. So I'm just going to describe what's going on. He says, are you guys ready to go for a walk? You guys ready to go for a walk? Who wants to go for a walk? And basically, and he's doing it because he wants to be a positive, but really what's happening is the dog's getting more and more excited every time he hears that. So the very first rule, don't narrate. The dog will recognize we're going for a walk as soon as you put your shoes on. You do certain manners, pick up a leash or something like that. I would transfer the leashes in here rather than in the garage. Now the dog's energy that they have before they leave the house is the energy they are going to carry on the walk. If you don't train your dogs to be calm in the house, you're not going to have a successful walk. Now a couple other no-nos. The guardian uses the martingale with the special twist of the leash that I like using, and I'll show you here in a sec, but he was trying to tether two dogs together, and you cannot do that if you're using the martingale. It does not work that way. And I know it's a little bit frustrating, you have to have one on each arm, but it's actually better that way. You can correct the dog and only the dog. Right now, if I have two of them tethered and I'm correcting both dogs, even if one of them is doing the right thing. So I want to have each dog, I would give each dog its own position. So one dog is on your right and one dog is on your left, always. I see people doing it because of traffic and all this. I want the dog to know when I'm walking as Duke, my job is to be on the right side, no matter who's walking me. This is my place in the formation. So the first thing is don't narrate. Number two, give your dogs consistent areas. Now, a lot of times dogs get worked up as they recognize the mannerisms that we go through as we're preparing for a walk. We sit in a certain chair. We put down a certain pair of shoes on. We grab the poop bags. We grab our jackets, or all these things the dog recognizes these things. Oh, we're getting ready to go for a walk. And each step they get a little bit more worked up. And by the time you get them, you're like trying to attach the leash, and they're just bat crazy. So basically, the first thing is don't narrate. If let's say that the leashes are in the kitchen right over here at this table. So as the human's sitting on the couch and decides it's time to take him for a walk. What the human would do is put their shoes on, or whatever their mannerisms are, or what the ritual is. Then gets up and starts walking towards the leashes. Now for dogs, whoever's in front is perceived to be the leader. And your dogs are going to get excited and recognize what's going on, and they're going to run and beat the leash because they're really excited for this. Well, if they're in front of you, then they're already in the leadership position. So as I'm walking to where the leashes are, as soon as the dogs walk in front of me, I turn around and I sit back down. I don't say no. I don't get mad. I don't chastise them. The thing that got them excited is no longer happening because you got excited. And one of the little tips for this is practice this step at times where you have no interest of taking the dog for a walk. So people think this is mean. This is called desensitization. I can't even say it. If every time I pull out the leash, we're guaranteed to go for a walk, then the dog's going to start getting excited for this. This is classical conditioning, Pavlov's dog. So what we want to do is deprogram the dogs for this. So we get up and walk towards where the leashes are, and as soon as the dogs walk in front, we go and sit back down. Now the dogs are going to come back and whimper and whine and jump up on you. Don't say anything to them. You would disagree if they jump up, but just go back to watching TV. Wait for their energy to settle down to this energy, nice and calm. Then you get up and practice again. Now this might, if maybe you only have 5 minutes in the day you want to kill, you practice doing that 5 minutes. And then when the dog walks in front of you 3 times in a row and you're done with the 5 minutes, you go back to doing what you're doing. The dog's like, when I moved in front, we lost interest of going for the walk. So after enough repetitions, the dog will recognize me moving in front means the process of potentially going for a walk is aborted. So then they'll learn and they'll start walking next to you all the way to where the leashes are. The next step is actually reaching for the leash. Now you'll just move your hand towards them and the dogs will start jumping up and getting animated. Like I mentioned off camera here earlier, excited is not happy when it comes to dogs. They can be excited and happy at the same time, but excited is an unbalanced state of mind. And most of the time when dogs make mistakes, right there you could have petted and say, come, instead just for no reason, passive training. But just like us, please take that away from him. He's going to squeak it and it's going to make the video not really something you want to watch later. There we go. Okay, so basically, that's okay. I would let him be there for right now while we're on. I like where you're going, but let's do this video first. So basically, the first stage is just walking towards where it is. And this is going to be something you have to do over and over and over again. And eventually, they will learn to stay behind you. Now, we have 3 dogs in the house here. I would recommend we put 2 dogs away and practice with each dog separately till that dog will stay behind you all the way. Then we bring the best 2 dogs together and practice that with the best 2 dogs. Then we bring the 3rd dog if we're going to do that. So breaking the dog, using 1 dog at a time is a tip that most people don't do, but it has been proven is much more efficient use of your time. So eventually you get to where it is, you'll start reaching for the leash. As soon as you reach, the dogs wiggle, jump up, bark, whatever it is. You don't even touch it. You go and sit back down again. You abort. Any excitement, you stop. First time you'll reach this far before they get excited. Next time you'll reach this far, then this far, then this far. Then you can actually touch it. And then eventually and when I do touch it, I make the jingly sounds as much as I can. And if you could see, his head went back up and he came right over for it. So basically, the idea is to stop at any point the dog starts showing excitement, because I want them to be completely calm for the walk, and we're going to allow that for now, but that's against one of the rules now. So basically, once you get to there, they're nice and calm. When you attach the leash, it's nice and calm. You don't have to fight them. And the dog should have to come to you, and you attach the leash. Don't ever go to where the dog is, because that puts the dog in the driver's seat. So once you get the dog leashed up, hey, come here, buddy. Okay, we'll use you. So this is a martingale collar, also referred to as a no-slip collar. There's 2 loops. The big one is for the dog's head. The small one is for what we call the little twist of the leash. So when we slide it over the dog's head, no, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. It should be fairly snug going over the head. Now I'm going to take a 4-foot straight Jane plain leash, which it doesn't have any loops or anything else on it. I'm going to position the D-ring where the small loop is over the dog's spine. And then I'm going to go around the dog's chest. And when I go through it, always go through the loop, the small loop, towards the dog's head. Never go towards the butt. Always this way. Now, all right, so I'm going to stand up, and I'll move a little bit further away so you can see. All right, so if let's say that Duke's side, this is Bagel actually. So let's say that his is on the right side. I'm going to keep the leash short but not taut. Can you get both of us in the shot from this distance? Perfect. Okay. So if you see it, I'm wrapping it because I want it to be not a tense leash, but a short leash. So when I correct, it's a very short movement. It's not a long one. The guardian was letting them both kind of go around, and they were going around trees and shrubs and all that, and they're in front of the guardian, and that's going to cause them to be a little bit confused. If you can call him over, and please just hold him by his collar. So hold your hand like that. There you go. Perfect. Just hold on to his collar, please. Okay, so now I'm going to go over what I call the 5 rules for a structured walk. This is not your everyday walk. This is to teach the dogs to behave well on the martingale. Now, rule number 1 is the dog stays in its position. So if he's supposed to be on the right side, I want his shoulder aligned with my hip. If the correction for this is go straight up. If you let the dog in front of you, when you pull, they're going to cause them to pull forward. If you pull back on a dog's leash. So that's why we pull straight up in a popping motion. I'll show you in a sec. Stop the motion. Now this is correcting. I would rather train the dog to walk with a loose leash, but right now we have to start somewhere. So, all right, so rule number 1, stay in your position. I'm going to walk around in a circle to get him to come back around. Good job, buddy. Perfect. So pop it and relax it. Sit. A little passive training. Okay, so rule number 1, stay in your position on the right side with his shoulder aligned with your hip. If his chest gets in front of your torso, that's when you want to correct. With a quick tug up, and this is how you want to do it. Really up and really fast down. If you hold tension up here, he's going to pull against the leash. Dogs have what's called an opposition reflex. If you pull, they will automatically pull. And the way that the guardian is walking the dog before, he's set it up in a way that's guaranteed for the dogs to pull the whole way. They just physically don't have the ability not to. Like we could say, I can't not gag when you put a finger down my throat. All right, so rule number 1, stay in your position. Rule number 2 is keep this arm going nice and relaxed. When I see people walking their dogs with this, they start walking the dog, and the dog gets in front, and they go like this. You're trying to pull the dog back in position. You don't want to pull back. You want to correct with a quick tug and then relax. Come on, buddy. Come here. Come here. You see this hand motion makes it look like I have something in my hand. That's why he's listening. That's very good, Bagel. Okay, so rule number 1, stay in your position. Rule number 2, your arm goes straight down, nice and loose. If the dog lags from behind and stops going, you do not pull when they're behind. You let your arm go dead and keep on walking. The rig will keep him coming with you. You don't have to pull. I'm going to come right back. pop. Rule number 3 is the correction is going up and down very quickly in a quick tug or pull. You want to take the tension off of the leash before the dog has a chance to pull against you. That's why you want to have it be quick about it. That's also why you want to have the leash short. If this is a 6-foot leash, I got to go this high before it gets tense. That adds in about an extra second to the correction. So this is, and I do something called choking up. So if the leash is too long, I wrap it around my wrist, I grab it through the Y of my hand, and then I wrap it around the whole palm. Or if that's not comfortable for me because I'm too tall, I might wrap it around just 2 fingers. So now when I correct, it's just a quick little shrug. It's not a big movement, and that makes the timing much faster. All right, rule number 1, stay in your position. Rule number 2, loose arm. Rule number 3, quick tug up and then back down. Rule number 4, no stopping and sniffing. And these 2 guardians you probably can't see off camera are probably laughing right now because they have 2 Beagles. And Beagles are very big scent dogs. But a dog's nose controls 60% of its brain. And if the dog is smelling something, they cannot multitask. So if your dog is smelling something, you hold up a T-bone steak, they cannot pay attention even if they want to. So the dog can sniff as much as it wants. To say that a dog can't sniff would be cruel, so please don't misinterpret that. But if the dog stops to sniff something and I stop, then the dog told me what to do. So if the dog wants to sniff as we're walking, that's fine. But if he's still there, I'm going to let my arm go limp and just keep walking, and then the leash will get tense and will pull him along with me. Eventually he'll catch back up. Now, rule number 4, that's rule number 4. Rule number 5 is no marking. Now, I travel around the country fixing dog problems, and when I go to places like Chicago or New York or LA, people don't have yards there typically. Well, Chicago they do, but they walk their dogs to eliminate. And so this is kind of a novel concept for them. So if you're one of those places, it's a little different. Pick a spot your dog can urinate or defecate there, but not on the walk, unless you're somebody who actually takes them for a 3-hour walk, which these guardians actually do. So basically, we tell them where to pee. Now, pee is different than marking. Marking is a little bit on a lot of vertical surfaces. That's claiming territory, and that's something a dog that perceives itself to be a leader would do. And also, everything between the dog's house and the furthest point away that they mark is their territory in their mind. So if you let your dog pee on things, and I get a lot of people, but they like it. There's a lot of things your dog like that isn't good for them. This is not good for them, because especially if these dogs are a little bit reactive to other dogs, and that can create more territoriality. So we let them pee before the walk and at the end of the walk, but not on the walk. Now, sometimes what I'll do is if the dog is behaving after I've done this for a couple days, I might let you, we do the structured walk 3/4 of the walk. The last part of the walk, I take it off from around the chest, and now I let you sniff around, and I let you, not marking, but I let you kind of do your own thing. You did a good job, so the ears will reward at the end of the walk a little bit of less structure. Walking is not a very efficient way to exercise your dog, but it's great for leadership, especially if you keep your dog next to you. For your dogs, whoever's in front is the leader. So if you let your dog walk in front of you, it's reactive. It's going to be more reactive because it thinks it has to protect you. So teaching your dog to walk next to you or using a tool like a martingale like this with these structured rules can help the dog facilitate a follower's mindset because they're in a follower position next to you rather than in front of you. So this is a longer video than I normally like to do, but this is a video with tips and suggestions on how you can get your dogs to stay calm on a walk and listen to you and enjoy the walk yourself.